lots of people still joining. Welcome, welcome. We'll get started here in just a moment. My name is Hannah Fox, and I'm the Customer Experience and Training Manager at Giveffect. Thank you so much for joining us at Next and for this session, Small Team, Big Reach, Fundraising that Scales Without Burnout. For those of you who might not be as familiar, Giveffect is an all-in-one nonprofit platform that brings together the tools that organizations need to operate effectively, including donor management, volunteer management, CRM, marketing, all the things. Our goal really is to help nonprofits improve their operational efficiency, strengthen their financial stability, and further their mission. Before we dive in, I have just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you haven't already, please say hello in the chat with your name, where you're joining from, and your organization. For this session, feel free to participate by adding your reactions, your comments in the chat. My colleague Nicole will be monitoring it. And lastly, definitely use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom throughout this session. We're going to get to questions during the Q&A portion at the end. Awesome. I see everyone joining. Hi, Rick. Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for sharing in the chat. Hi, Amber and Jeff. Great to see you all. All right, so at Next, we're really exploring what it takes to build a future-ready nonprofit. But for so many organizations, that conversation starts in a really practical place. When your team is small, there's not room for any wasted effort. Every extra step matters, and every disconnected system can add work. Every campaign that has to be rebuilt from scratch takes time, and small teams rarely have extra time. Elizabeth and Jasmine both lead fundraising inside of organizations where the teams are small and the work touches almost every part of the organization. Over time, they've really simplified their system, built these repeatable processes, and created ways to grow their fundraising without exhausting everyone behind the work. Today, we're going to talk about what created that friction, what changed, and what made the biggest difference in their day-to-day work. So I'm so excited. Elizabeth, if you would start by introducing yourself, tell us a little bit more about Core Dance, what your role as executive director is like, and what your team structure looks like today.
My name is Elizabeth Labbe-Webb, and don't worry about the Labbe-Webb part, nobody can say it correctly. I'm the executive director at Core Dance. Core Dance is a 46-year-old professional dance company, headquartered in Decatur, Georgia, but we have an international reach. When I joined the company 10 or so years ago, I had a full staff, all departments. COVID severely reduced that staff. So Sue and I operate on a co-leadership model. Sue does all the things artistic, and I do everything else, which means operations, earned income, class registrations, studio rentals, donor relations, grants, and letting the postman in when he knocks on the front door.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Jasmine, if you could also introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about SoléAna Stables, what your role as development director is like, and what your fundraising capacity looks like in your organization.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine Singh. I am a best-selling author for my memoir, Saved by Depeche Mode, An Epic Journey of Healing and Remission Through Music. And I'm also the very part-time, only 10 hours a week, development director with SoléAna Stables. And SoléAna Stables, we basically provide equine-assisted activities and services for individuals with disabilities and also for veterans with our Horses for Heroes program. And I basically handle development, I handle grants, I handle events, I handle outreach, I handle quite a few things in the 10 hours a week. And I'll be sharing more of that with you throughout this call today.
Awesome. You both are perfect for this conversation as you wear so many different hats. Elizabeth, I'm going to get started with before you built the process that you're using today, where did you feel like you were feeling the most friction in your work?
I was asked to join Core Dance about 10 years ago solely to do fund development. And about 2 months into that, Sue said, "Will you please move up to executive director?" So for the first, and I'm the first executive director Core Dance has ever had. If you think about that on a 46-year history, that's kind of amazing.
Hmm.
So I spent the first, my goal was to spend the first 6 months just watching and listening
Hmm.
and figuring out what was going on around here. Within the first month, I realized that the organization was just handling too many different ways to handle data. I mean, within the first month,
Hmm.
a piece of data had to go by 4 desks in 4 different software applications before we could reasonably say, okay, it's done. Some pieces went through 6 or 7 desks.
Hmm.
So the friction was immediate. And my search for a way to fix that was immediate.
Hmm.
When we found Giveffect and all gathered around one screen to do the demo, several of my staff members actually started to cry.
Oh, that's amazing. Was there a specific situation that the structure of the work was making it harder than it needed to be?
It all was
Hmm.
because you know as well as I do that every time you handle a piece of data, there's an entry point for mistakes.
Hmm.
And so things were going missing. People would order a ticket and never get it because it went into one piece of software but not the other. There were tracking devices for whether a donor was a ticket buyer or a dancer or who never talked to each other, that the two staff members never talked to each other. And it led to embarrassment, to be honest, to be standing there at the theater and someone coming up and saying, "I have tickets, where are they?" And nobody could answer the question.
Hmm.
So immediate problem, immediate need to reduce the number of hands a piece of data went through.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's such a great point and such a something that really will resonate with so many different nonprofits. Jasmine, before I switch over to you, there's one question here that I want you both to answer that came in through Q&A, and I know we'll get to that more towards the end, but I think answering this now will help us provide a little bit more context for the rest of our discussion. So will both of you just tell us how many total employees you have? Jasmine, we can start with you.
Uh, two.
Yep.
Actually, no, we have about three because we have a volunteer coordinator. We also have an
Mhm.
outreach person, but like everybody is part-time. And the only
Mhm.
full-time person that we have is our executive director. So yeah,
Thank you for sharing that.
really two full humans.
Mhm.
Two
And
full humans.
Elizabeth.
Uh, I have to put it in context. Okay, when I first started, there were 14 staff members and 8 resident dancers. Now we have 2 full-time staff members, that's me and Sue, and 5 part-timers, one
Okay.
of which only works 5 hours a week.
Awesome. Thank you both for sharing that. I think that helps our discussion today a little bit more. So Jasmine, before you consolidated your systems, you were using several different tools to run fundraising events. Could you walk us through what that stack actually looked like and how the work flowed between these platforms?
It was quite insane juggling everything from all of these different platforms. Like our CRM was housed in Network for Good and all of that part of the data as far as donor management is concerned. And then Qtago is what we were using for all of our auction platforms and the ticketing and the live auction and all of that. And then we have Square payments that were going for like products that were being sold and merchandise that was being sold and all these other tools and so many spreadsheets. And mind you, I love spreadsheets, but not that much. So yeah, it was just juggling a whole lot of information. So our donor data was sitting in Network for Good. Our auction payments were being processed through Qtego. And manually having to utilize spreadsheets to basically reconcile all of that data was absolutely insane. So
Mhm.
toggling back and forth between all of those things just made it virtually impossible. And now having it all in one system has absolutely been a game changer for us.
Thank you so much. At some point, I think both of you decided to really stop managing that collection of disconnected tools and move a little bit more towards a unified system. Elizabeth, was what prompted that decision? I mean, I know, of course, you gave us so much context there, but yeah, I guess telling us a little bit more about how you got to that decision.
I came at it from several different directions.
Hmm.
My philosophy as a leader is as a servant leader. So I'm not happy if my staff's not happy. And so I was immediately tuned in to the stress and the confusion and all of those things. But I also love data. And so I was looking at, 6 different pieces of software. Some were free, some were not, how much that was actually costing, and then adding in, on an hourly basis, what it was costing to have each staff member touch the same piece of data multiple times. And came up with a spreadsheet. And your question leads to the conversation I had with the board very, very quickly to say, I need to change this. And their response was, it's not in the budget. And I said, oh yeah, it is. And I laid out, we're already spending more than we would be if we brought in an integrated system. But that was what led me is my staff being so unhappy,
Hmm.
and then in a lot of ways not knowing why. They didn't know why they were unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's such a great way to think about it. I think both of you made this shift not just to adopt a new tool, but really like to create a structure so that things could flow smoothly and run more smoothly. Elizabeth, we're going to switch gears just a little bit. Your organization runs so many different types of engagement, classes, performances, studio rentals, registrations, donor relationships. Can you walk us through how those activities interact with each other and how you structure everything so that they all work together?
Well, they all interact with each other,
Hmm.
okay? Especially in the dance world. If you are if you are connected in the dance world, you're kind of connected to every part of it. Dancers dance, but they also go to other dancers' shows, and they're in the studio taking classes, and they're looking for workspace. One of the problems that Atlanta has is a really awful problem with lack of rehearsal space. And then once they come out of a certain thing, like they're not dancing professionally anymore or whatever, they still want to stay in the world. So they're volunteering to aid their brothers and sisters in the dance community. So they're in our volunteer system too. I I think I think every single person whose data I handle on a daily basis is tied into at least 5 of the different ways we use their data.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't think I could do this if there wasn't a way to network everything together.
Hmm.
Plus, it's so much easier to have a conversation with somebody if you have in front of you something that says, "Oh, they rented the studio. They're in there rehearsing a new piece. They took class with KO yesterday." Kind of thing. It shortens that getting to know you thing that
Yeah.
allows people to really feel like part of your organization.
Hmm. That's such a great point. Jasmine, your experience shows also another side of this. You've been able to turn fundraising events into these really repeatable frameworks that are, not just one-off projects. So I guess let's talk a little bit about your Uncorked event. Could you walk us through what that event looks like, start to finish? Maybe what are some of the key components of the campaign and how did they all come together?
Absolutely. Our Uncorked event is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And we basically, you have your ticket sales, you have sponsorship levels, you've got donations, you've got silent auction, we have a live auction, we have a merchandise table, we do a jewelry pull, we do a wine pull.
Wow.
So we have a giving frame. So we have lots of different things that are happening all at once. And last year, this event always happens at the end of October every year. And for me, I was able to, for the first time, clone a campaign because at that point, it was our second year using Giveffect. So being able to clone that campaign and just literally go in and reuse everything from the previous year and only have to restructure a couple of things was a tremendous time saver for me. So much time was saved. And so basically, tickets are being purchased for the event. They're automatically being assigned bidder numbers, which helps me so much. And then I would create spreadsheets of attendees that are used, that I use during registration process and everything. And it has allowed me to streamline the entire process, just having everything in that campaign page and then utilizing that information, creating a drip campaign through the email campaigns that are they run for 8 weeks for letting everybody know weekly, our donors, what to expect, the expectations for the event, and what we're going to be doing, and how much fun they're going to be having, and what we're going to be having in our auctions. We do take a lot of pride in our auctions. And
Mhm.
just the fact that everything is so easily put into one place, where before having to toggle back and forth between the CRM that wasn't speaking to Qtego, that wasn't speaking back to the CRMs, getting people's credit cards authorized for auction purposes, little things like that that just made all the difference in the world having it in one system. Last year was the smoothest that event has ever run. And
Wow.
this was my fifth year being a part of it. And it was beautiful,
Oh, I'm
absolutely
so happy to
beautiful.
hear that. I think there is that saying like why reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. Of course,
Right.
it makes it so much easier. And I think also you learn things from year to year. Like you start to build on some of the things that might have not gone well the year before and being able to tweak that and move it forward. So I love that you utilized the clone feature and were able to clone the campaign. Were there I guess talk us through like what your ticket tiers are like, or were there sponsorship levels, auction, like what did you reuse?
I reused everything, Hannah. The only thing I basically have to go back and like modify, basically, when you clone a campaign,
Mhm.
everything clones over into a new campaign for you. The only thing that you have to start over from scratch is the auction portal and the products portal. Everything else gets cloned over and it becomes like your new thing. Your
Mhm.
sponsorship levels are there and your ticket information is there. We only do two tickets. We have a regular general ticket and then we have a ticket, always do a ticket for a designated driver. And that allows whoever doesn't want to drink the opportunity to pay a lower cost and come in and not have any drink tickets or whatever. We always pay for the drinks. Y'all want to come to our events, I'm sure. And then we basically go back in and we'll modify the prices. Usually the prices maybe have gone up
Mhm.
for from year to year. And then the same thing with the sponsorship levels. Sponsorship levels, if they change based on what we're offering in the VIP packages and such, we'll go in and I'll just modify those things. But for the most part, when it's cloned, all of the information is there. The description is still there. Everything is there. All I need to do is go ahead and just edit and modify the dates, the times, a little bit of details here and there. I basically don't have to reinvent the entire wheel. And for me, working only 10 hours a week, 2 hours a day, it's a no-brainer. Like it makes my life so much easier, and I'm able to maximize my 2 hours every single day, my 10 hours every single week, and it's been phenomenal. And then
Mhm.
don't get me started on AI Writer because that is my absolute go-to for this particular platform. It has saved me so much time. And, I'll talk about that more as we get to it. But for the most part, I do everything with my clone campaigns, and it's just been beautiful because I can do the same thing with my email campaigns too. I can clone
Mhm.
those as well
Mhm.
and basically go in and just change out, little things. Our logo's not changing.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
things for our, flyer just needs to be updated. Little
Mhm.
things like that aren't changing at all. So why go in there and start from scratch when everything's already saved for you? Especially when you're utilizing your own brand colors.
Yeah.
They're already
Yeah.
there. So there's no point in, starting from scratch every single time.
Yeah, we clone everything.
You do
Class
too.
schedules are cloned. Studio rental time is cloned. I think I've recreated, I've made something new twice in the last 3 years.
Wow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's really nice too that Elizabeth, you have such a clear, repeatable structure with things like classes that are ongoing or studio rental that it does really cater to being able to just, click copy and bring everything over. Absolutely. Um, Jasmine, I know that you communicate with so many different audiences. You have your monthly donors, your sponsors, your auction partners. How do you approach personalization that is realistic for your time? Only working 10 hours a week, how can you really make things personal? And of course, you've already mentioned like the AI tools and how that helps. I guess tell us a little bit more of that. How did that change the speed of your work?
I'll give you an example. My executive director, I love her so much. She and I have very different personalities. We have so much fun together. We make this job so amazingly fun and good. She has one way of speaking, and as you can tell, I have a very different way of speaking. I'm more fun, friendly, and not to say that she's not. She's just on that professional side. She is
Mhm.
the executive director and, the everything for this organization. So when we have communication that's going out, sometimes it's going out from her, sometimes it's going out from me. So it's like I need to change that tone of voice. I need to change that, you know, maybe more professionally structured email to something to sound a little bit more fun and, whatever, based on the event as well. So it always changes. Before, I used to spend like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe an hour on one email, just making sure that, okay, does this sound right? It's a Sasha's voice. This is not my voice. This is, one way or the other. Now, with the AI writer, it is amazing because I take that email, I plug it into AI Writer, I tell it exactly what my parameters are. I want this to be in my voice. You know that I'm fun and friendly. You know that this. I want some exclamation points. I want throw in some emojis in there, make it fun and engaging. And bam, it comes out. And all I have to do, because it's never been like 100% perfect, I still basically copy and paste it. And I'm able to go in and just modify, do a couple of modifications. And
Mhm.
right there, that took me 5 minutes to do.
Yeah,
So
wow.
basically, that just knocked off what would initially take me 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes an hour to do. In 5 minutes, I'm done, and I still have another 55 minutes in my last hour of work for the day.
Mhm. Yeah.
So again, apples and oranges, right? Like it allows you to get so much more done and be way more productive with your time. And it allows somebody like me who doesn't have a whole lot of time to give and to offer to really just focus and take advantage of that time,
Wow.
maximize it.
Yeah. And you've been so generous to share some of the prompts today. So I think our colleague Nicole will drop a document of some of those example prompts. I know that AI prompting really is such a science. And so Jasmine, thank you so much for like putting together some of the common prompts that you use and how you use that within the system.
You're very welcome. And to just say one last thing about the AI writer part, I use it now to create really amazing, fun, energetic basket names for our auction baskets. And I
Oh,
am
I
very
love that.
impressed. I am very impressed with the AI writer tool in Giveffect because they have a good sense of humor. Some of these basket names are just phenomenal. And so I'm really looking forward to because our next event's coming up in about a month. So I'll be looking forward to generating those auction basket names.
Oh, I love that. Elizabeth, from your perspective, communication really only works when some of the information behind it is organized. Even earlier, you spoke to it's so much easier to give a person a call when you have, XYZ, all this information about them. I guess how does centralized information change the way that you communicate with your community?
Well, I mean, absolutely correct. One of the things people talk about all the time is we we have so much information, we have so many different ways to communicate, and yet communication is often a problem within organizations. And in my mind, it's a problem when the systems you've set in place for communication are not being used. And a lot of that is because people will come in and they say, oh, I have my way of doing it, and then they add something in, and that doesn't work. So one of the hardest things we had to do, as we were implementing how Giveffect works with how Core Dance works, was convince everybody that Giveffect was their go-to space for information. And that everything needed to be in Giveffect, no matter how you touch the data. And what that means is that we have complete confidence in the data that we have in the system. And so anybody, and this is especially true when it's two full-time people and everybody else is part-time, and the office is, I just saw my social media coordinator in person right before this for the first time in like 3 months. So we're never in the same room together anymore either.
Right.
So we absolutely have to have full confidence in the data that goes into the system. But when it works, when it's being used correctly, anybody can pick up the phone and call anybody in the database and be able to speak to them about exactly what they want to talk about in the moment without having to, oh wait, I have to go check with Elizabeth on that, or I have to go check with, the facilities coordinator on that, or whatever. It makes it possible to run an international company with two full-time people and several part-time people. Otherwise it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah. I am just curious, like, how do you, is that something that you train your staff on how to enter the data into Giveffect to make sure that everything is really consistent, or, is it SOPs that you have? How do you enforce that?
Well, we have a system of SOPs,
Yeah.
yes. Everybody has a manual for their desk.
Hmm.
But I have to tell you the truth in that Giveffect also makes it a little bit easier if people interact differently with how a piece of data is being used. When it was spreadsheets and multiple pieces of software, somebody entering information differently than they would have, than somebody else would have, often created a problem. But inside an integrated system like this, certain pieces of data only go in certain places. No matter how you enter it, there's only one place to put it. And that helps. I'm sure that we all have, good job, baby. Sorry, my service dog just went to get the door. We've all had that time where somebody was working with a spreadsheet or whatever, and someone who was not as easy on that spreadsheet deleted or moved a cell, which changed the entire spreadsheet. And nobody knows it until they try to get information the next time. Because there's only certain places to put certain pieces of data in the system, I'm less concerned whether it's consistent across the board on how it looks, just that it's all in the same place.
I love that. Just curious for both of you too. Jasmine, does your team use any like different permission presets, or do you have access to everything? Is there anything that you all do to really keep your data consistent?
Well, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but I'm also the data administrator for So I basically manage it all. So
Yeah.
as long as it's under my umbrella, I'm okay with it. I'm constantly checking to make sure we don't have any duplicate leads, especially after, an event. After an event, there's always consistently going to be some sort of duplication because people are coming in with new emails or phone numbers or whatever. Or they purchase the ticket under their LLC instead of their regular name. So there's a whole
Right.
bunch of cleanup happening afterwards. And at the first of every year, I basically go in and do like a full data cleanup anyway, because that's just what the kind of hat that I've worn in previous
Mhm.
roles too. So yeah, it's just me. We do have one other person that has permission to go in and enter notes and stuff when they're doing more stewardship type things and making calls and interactions and such, but really it's just me. Sasha will enter in all offline donations. All
Okay.
offline donations that come in go directly to her and to our PO box and stuff. So as she receives those, she'll go in and enter in everything, especially if we've gotten a big sponsorship from an organization or company, and she'll get that check and she'll enter it into the system, and then I take over from that point on. So the good thing about that is that you only have one person touching the system, right? So I never have to worry about it being like because somebody else came in and stirred the pot. Nobody's stirring my
Mhm.
pot. It's my pot. Stay out of my pot. This is my, I will keep the database clean. So,
Yeah. I love that you have like kind of a process for yourself where you're like, okay, the first of every month, I'm going to go in and clean duplicates. I think that's so helpful. Just to set aside a few minutes every month or every week, whatever it is, so that it doesn't become this overwhelming task, and something that you're just kind of over time, slowly cleaning things.
Well,
yeah,
and I love the
that's
fact that the system points out a possible duplicate.
Yeah, that's
You,
true too.
because then you can see it quickly.
Hmm.
I love the fact, Jasmine, that you have time or make time to go in and clean up duplicates. My day runs so fast that I value the, hey, are these two or are these three, or are these possible duplicates? Because then I can fix them in real time while I'm doing
Okay.
something else.
So you have a little bit of a different system where you just
right.
manage it as it comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess thinking about looking back, for both of you, what is one shift that clearly gave your time back, or made your fundraising work feel a lot more manageable and sustainable? Elizabeth, we can start with you.
I'm laughing because we've had previous conversations about this, and I've thought about it because the one thing really is the ability to clone things.
Okay,
It
awesome.
really is, because that used to take so long.
Yeah.
Sorry, somebody really wants in the door. And and once we get going on it, it's easy to turn that particular task over to someone else. So I
Mm-hmm.
can say to my virtual assistant, you need to do this. All you need to do is clone this thing 27 times, change the date, and you're good to go. So that's the one that gave me back the most time.
That's a great example and a great way to be able to approach things. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Jasmine, what about you?
100% what Elizabeth just said with the cloning and the between the cloning of whether it be an email campaign or an event campaign or using AI writer to rephrase a message that has gone out multiple times to different people and maybe a different voice. Utilization of both of those has been a tremendous lifesaver for me. And then I also have a tendency to create process documents in every company that I've ever been with, which just makes it easier for me because sometimes you finish an event and then the next event, we only have two events a year. So one is in May, at the beginning of May, the other one's at the end of October. And there's so much stuff that happens in between there where I forget. Like, wait, what did I do
Mhm.
last time? I think I'm going to remember it, but I don't. I
Yeah.
have an event process document. I have a monthly donor email drip campaign process document. I have one for year-end campaigns. I have one for tax statements because sometimes tax statements come around and I'm like, oh my God, my brain breaks. And I'm like, I totally forget what the
Yeah.
parameters are and what I need to do. So I have process documents for everything. And I cannot tell you how much it has changed my entire life because I can just go back to that document and be like, oh, this is what I did. This is
Mhm.
what I did in the prompts for the text to give. Remember, you got to fill that out too. Every
Right.
part has to be filled out for every part of your auction baskets or whatever it is that you're working on. And if you have it in a process document, all you have to do is just go back and take a look at it. And I'll update that after every single event too, so that it's with the most updated and current information. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Just do it
Mhm.
once, have it in place, have it up, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what I did last year. Excellent.
Yeah, even
Easy,
small.
automatic time saver. Right?
Right. Even small things like thinking about the timeline of how early you need to start working on things before the event. Those do get lost from year to year. And I'm sure timelines change, but it's still nice to be able to look back and say, okay, 6 weeks before we started doing this, and then kind of go from there.
Do we have time for a funny story?
Yes, absolutely.
The text to give. One year, I accidentally forgot about it. I forgot to actually put it into place and turn it on. It's supposed to be done like at least a month in advance before your event. I forgot. I waited too long. It didn't get turned on in time, and it was for the Uncorked event, that
Mm.
October event. And oh my God, it was so difficult to manage that without having that one piece. And all you have to do is make that mistake one time, and you'll never make that mistake again because it goes in the process document.
Right.
And now, 2 months before every event, I have
You're
automatic
turning it
calendar
on.
reminders. Initiate text to give, make sure it's ready to go. So we're already ready for the event coming up in a month. So I'm excited about that.
That's amazing. Well, I would love to bring the audience into this conversation. So I see lots of questions coming in, so we can kind of get started here. Um, Jasmine, this one looks like it's more for you. So, what was your seating chart like for Uncorked? Did you have to manually assign seating? Were you able to do that in the CRM?
We don't do assigned seating in that way. We don't use the CRM for it because one thing that I will say about my executive director is she knows everybody.
Mm.
She knows every single one of our 2,000 donors. Like, I'm not even joking, like by name and everything. She just has that superpower. So when she goes in and starts doing things, especially when it's a table that's been purchased, really we just do the tables that have been purchased, the sponsorship tables. Those are the only ones where they go in and they seat wherever. Those are the designated and reserved tables. Everything else beyond that is just like first come, first serve type of a thing. Go find a table. And for Uncorked, we will try to put people together that we think, might be good together. And she's amazing at that. She does that. She does these, we're going to put these people with these people and these people with these because she knows them.
I think it's
Yeah,
nice when that's where that relationship aspect can really come into things.
it does.
Elizabeth, you talked a lot earlier about like knowing your staff and knowing how people are feeling on your team. Can you share with us a little bit about what you do to avoid burnout, especially when you're thinking about scaling?
So, we're back to culture. We're back to core dance's culture. We are as close as possible to a consensus-led organization without actually being a consensus-led organization, because that's difficult to manage. Sue and I always have the last word. But what that allows you to do is work into your workday opportunities to check in with staff. And one of the ways we do that is a common way that happens in theater rehearsal spaces and dance rehearsal spaces, which is we ask people to check in on their body, their energy, their space, their time, and their relationships around them. And we just take a few minutes every once in a while to check in on Bester, you know. And once you get confident in that system, it gives you a lot of information very, very quickly. But it also reinforces that we do care.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, or did have, I don't have enough people anymore to do it. We used to do 3 o'clock chocolate. Somebody
Oh,
would, at 3 o'clock, somebody would stand up and ring the bell that sits here in the office, and chocolate would come out of the production manager's office, and everybody would have chocolate.
I
Birthdays
need
are
to
always
implement that.
celebrated, you know. It's about being real in the
Hmm.
room with the people that you're working with. I think that that's a little bit harder to do, maybe in some organizations than in others. But because Sue and I both come out of improvisational performance, we're absolutely committed to being cognizant, aware, caring of the people around us who give us the gift of their time every day.
Yeah, I love that. I think 3 p.m. chocolate might be my biggest takeaway today. I need that. Um, I have another question here. I guess thinking about like as an organization grows, how could you personally get to know, in this case, Jennifer is sharing with us that it's a school and they're getting larger. How can she personally get to know even more parents or even more grandparents and caregivers to really be able to build those relationships for giving? She shared that she feels like she's losing kind of that personal touch as they have the same staff number but more people to reach out to in a really personal way. Any thoughts or opinions? Either of you can answer that one.
Then you're back into systems, really, really. And it doesn't feel that way. I know when you start to grow and all of a sudden you've got more people to talk to. Always back into storytelling and systems in storytelling because especially parents and grandparents, they want to know what's going on. So it's not a heavy lift to get involved with them. It's just finding the right story to get them involved. And so for us, we are in constant mode of storytelling. The social media always has stories attached. The e-blast always has stories attached. Sue jumps on sometimes just to tell a story about something that happened during the install she was working on in, I don't know where she is today. I think she's in France. Um, but that's your touch point, is finding the story that brings those people in, because once you open the door, they will come in without your help.
Hmm.
I'm going to say the exact same thing. That stewardship and that taking care of your donors goes such a long way. And when you have a product or a story that literally just it sells itself type of a thing, it's such a beautiful cause. It's such, you're helping these amazing children who have these abilities, and you see them go from being either really quiet or not really engaging to all of a sudden they get on this horse and they magically just, the entire family gets involved. The parents become donors, the grandparents become donors. They come to the events because they literally see what this is providing for their loved one. And same with the veterans piece.
Yeah.
And when you have that strong of a story, you don't need to do anything. It will talk about itself. You, the person that is, that's why I'm part of this organization. And that's why I work, I'm on, have lots of medical issues and things like that, which is why I only work 10 hours a week. And for me to commit my time to something, it has to absolutely be something that I believe in. And that's what this is. And when you have that, it is beyond anything that I can possibly imagine. You don't really have to say much. It really does sell itself because you just come to our barn, see the kiddos on the horses, see the veterans as they're going through their Horses for Heroes program, see the impact it's having on them. It really does make all the difference in the world.
And if you don't have a space like that too, there's a little function when someone makes a donation inside Giveffect where they can leave you a note as to why. You know, follow those up. You see every donation that comes in. If someone takes a moment to leave you a note, it's so easy to hit email and say, "Wow, I saw your note. I'm so happy this thing engaged you." People love it when you take that extra moment to just recognize that they took an extra moment to write you a note while they were making a donation.
I think
And I'm
that's
going
so
to piggyback on that,
cool.
Elizabeth, real quick. Like the whole interactions piece, one of the things that we do consistently, because it is such a personal organization, and it was started because our executive director had a child with Down syndrome, has a child with Down syndrome, is that when you start making phone calls and doing anniversary calls and calls after like your year-end appeals and such, you make that connection with those people, and they'll genuinely tell you, like, you're not calling for money? No, I'm just calling to say thank you.
Mhm.
I'm just calling to tell you that I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much for supporting us at our event. Look at all the money that you spent at Uncork. You spent like $21,000. Like, we couldn't be more excited about that. And look how many people are you going to help with this? Like, we're just showing our appreciation. And then you enter that note. If they tell you anything personal about their lives, enter that note into the interaction. Next year, when you call them again, 6 months from now, when you call them again, bring it up. How's your dog? You told me about your dog last time. You told me that you love fishing. Like, what's going on? Did you go fishing again? Like, what's happening? When you engage with somebody like that, that communication and that connection, it's human,
Mhm.
and it makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. I love this. That is such a great message to really end this session on. If you guys had one practical shift that you could make this quarter that would, or one practical shift that you could give nonprofit leaders that they could make this quarter that would help them scale their fundraising without burning out their team, what would it be? Elizabeth, we can start with you.
Wow, so many things popped into my head. Okay, give yourself permission to stop doing something that's not working.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I think that a lot of us need to hear that sometimes, that it's okay to try to change things, and change can be scary, but it might work out to something might work better. So it's great to be able to know that if it's not working, to try to shift. Jasmine, what about you?
This may sound like an infomercial for Giveffect, but like at this point, I don't even think there's anything left to say. Like, I know I create my process documents. I know that I do my due diligence to keep myself organized, but seriously, this platform has been a tremendous amount of help for both of us. And the fact that we're able to do what we do and in the time that we do, especially just me giving 10 hours a week and maximizing every single second of that 10 hours, it's because I have a platform that allows me that freedom. So if you need to jump the gun and do it, I'm telling you, it's worth every single penny.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Jasmine. Thank you again for sharing your experience today. Your stories really do show how building a future-ready nonprofit is not about the size of the team. It's really about creating those systems and processes that allow you to focus your time and energy where it matters most. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and thank you so much, Jasmine and Elizabeth. If you're thinking about what we learned today, if this applies to your organization, we are offering a rare opportunity. On the screen, you'll see here in just a moment, we are going to offer free data migration and $1,000 off any subscription if you book a strategy call by March 31st and join Giveffect by June 30th. Also, I just want to remind everyone that we're doing something fun throughout Next. Each day, we're giving away coffee on us to 10 attendees. To enter, follow Give Effect on LinkedIn, find a Next related post on our page, and in the comments, tag Give Effect and share one thing that you've learned or hoped to learn using the hashtag Next2026. We'll announce winners at the end of our sessions today. Next, we just have a short break here, followed by our next session, Making Change Stick, a practical leadership framework for nonprofits, and that one starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. To navigate to the next session, you'll just simply head back to the event's virtual lobby page, to the sessions page, and scroll down to the next session and hit join. Thank you so much, everyone.